Hello, my name is Dwayne Kimball, owner and founder of KMD 89 VA Claims Consulting, Leave No Vet Behind. I hope everyone is being safe during this time of the whole coronavirus, and we're respecting each other's personal space and adhering to the social distancing. So, bringing you another educational video as it pertains to the VA disability compensation claims process. And today I am going to be talking about Nexus and a Nexus statement. So I'm going to be talking about both because they're a little bit different, but one of the same, okay? So I've been getting a lot of questions about Nexus statements, what they are, but people are missing what the actual Nexus is, okay? So today, what I'm going to be discussing is the Nexus as it pertains to direct service connection. You have a nexus as it pertains to secondary and presumptive and et cetera, but I'm going to be discussing the nexus as it pertains to direct service connection because 85% of the time, veterans are trying to get service connected on a direct basis. And as I mentioned before, I'm going to leave one of the regulations as it pertains to a nexus to direct service connection. I'm going to leave that in the description section of this video down below. And also, I'm going to be talking about Nexus statement, and I'm going to bring the actual Nexus statement that I used a few years ago up so you can see it. And I'm going to provide a secondary medical opinion which goes on to the Nexus statement itself. Okay, so I want to read to you the regulation as it talks about an overview of direct service connection. This regulation comes from the M21, but most importantly, there's a couple of sections in here that talks about the nexus. So I'm going to read this regulation from the M21. Direct service connection means that a particular disease or injury was incurred in service. That's very important. A lot of people miss this, okay? So I'll read it again. Direct service connection means that a particular disease or injury was incurred in service. This is accomplished by affirmatively showing inception during service. There are three components to providing direct service connection. These are a current disability, an event, injury, or disease in service, and a link or nexus. Okay, key word, a link or nexus, establishing that the current disability had its onset or inception in service, which may be established by evidence of chronicity and continuity, or continuous symptoms, or a medical nexus opinion. There's that word again, nexus. And it's used in conjunction with nexus opinion. So that leads me to the second part of what, a nexus letter with a nexus opinion or a nexus statement, okay? That's very important. So there's two areas of this regulation that's really important. One, it tells you the three elements that's needed for direct service connection, and it talks about the nexus, okay? The nexus basically links the condition you're claiming to service as we're talking about direct service connection. So definitely keep that in mind because, again, a lot of veterans that, I talk to them and they say, oh, well, I was around this or I was around that. And I asked them, was the condition you're claiming, the particular disease, the condition you're claiming, was it injury, was incurred in service, okay? Again, was it an injury or event or a diagnosis from service? So you definitely have to keep that in mind as it pertains to direct service connection. Now, nexus, for a secondary condition, you have to link the condition you're claiming is due to the service-connected condition, okay? So just a little bit different guidelines, but still, whether you're trying to link it to service, link it to another service-connected condition, or even link it to a presumptive, there has to be a nexus, okay? And you can use a medical nexus opinion, which is in what we call a nexus statement or a nexus letter. So I am about to bring up or show you what with the nexus statement I use, what that look like. Okay, so as you can see in front of you, I hope everyone can see this. I tried to get it condensed in so you can see all the information. I just call it a nexus statement. Some people call it a nexus letter. So as you can see, first to start with the date. You want to have the date, you want to have your name, and you want to have the VA claims number, okay? If it's here recent, then it's more than likely it's your social security number, okay? Another important piece of a nexus statement, nexus letter is, especially if you're trying to relate this nexus opinion, your medical opinion, due to service, the examiner wants to know what evidence they review. And if it's a nexus statement for direct service connection, that examiner needs to review the service treatment records, SDRs, or any medical evidence from service. Okay, that's going to be the objective piece of it, not the subjective piece where you're telling the doctor what happened. Any private or civilian medical records to include, X-rays, MRIs, or any type of blood work, depending on what condition you're claiming. DD-214, military separation exam, that's possibly would be part of the military service treatment records. Military post-deployment questionnaire, that's especially important if you're trying to claim something on a presumptive basis, especially Gulf War presumptive, and then any other medical evidence. So you definitely want that examiner to review certain information, okay? And also it states, I have examined the above referenced patient and made the following professional medical opinion, okay? The diagnosis, you have to have the diagnosis on here. More than likely, if you're claiming a lumbar strain, degenerative disc disease, cervical strain, whatever the case may be, you want that diagnosis on here. And then you have the different medical opinions, okay? The above diagnosis is related to an onset or events while in service in terms of probability, as caused by a result of direct service calls, as most likely caused by or a result of 51% probability or better, as least as likely as not caused by of, and I put secondary there because if you're claiming it on a secondary basis, you want to put the condition that is service connected, okay? 50-50 probability service connected. Then again, the service connected condition. As less likely as not caused by a result of. That is a negative opinion, okay? So if that's checked, that means you're going to be denied because there's no nexus or linking that on a secondary basis or on a direct basis due to service, okay? But if it is a positive opinion, then the examiner wants to add a rationale. And that rationale basically is a statement from the examiner explaining how they came to the conclusion to give you a positive opinion. And also, a rationale could do the same thing for a negative opinion. But in this case, we're just going to say, hypothetically, we're going to say there's a positive opinion, okay? So in there, the examiner needs to state how they came to that conclusion to provide a positive opinion for you, whether it be medical literature review, any medical articles, medical expertise, again, any medical documentation that was reviewed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And also you want to make sure that examiner signs it, puts their name and medical license number or MPI number, okay? So with that being said, that's what a nexus statement, nexus letter looks like. It doesn't have to be in that format. Again, that's something that I used years ago when something I used years ago when I did my claim. So you always want to keep in mind that even though it may look different than mine, as long as the content is correct, okay? So like I said, you have the date, you have the veteran's name, the social security number, evidence reviewed, diagnosis, the positive opinion, and then the rationale. That's really important. You want to put that rationale on there. And again, that's what a conclusion of how, or a statement of how the examiner came to the conclusion of providing a positive opinion. And again, that can be for secondary and presumptive, okay? So that document is old. Now I've seen some that are a little bit different, but the information is the same. Now you may ask yourself, I get all this together and I add it with a DBQ or any other medical evidence showing the criteria, any criteria that could be used for rating purposes, okay? And you send it in to the VA and you still get scheduled for an exam. Now you may be asking yourself, well, wait a minute, I had a Nexus statement, a Nexus letter. I had enough information that showed range of motion or number of headaches I was having a month. There was no need for a CMP exam, but one was still scheduled. There could be it could be that there was somebody new at the VA or they were rushing and they didn't see your information. But you have options, okay? One option, you don't go to the exam, but you don't know if that person that reviewed it saw an error in the particular your Nexus and Nexus statement or Nexus letter that received from your private physician. You don't know that. But if you go and you look at the statement and you make sure that it's correct, you have an option of not going to the exam. That's your right as a veteran. And you can just ask them to go ahead and rate with the evidence of record. And if it's denied, the rating specialist should tell you in the rating decision exactly why they denied it, especially if your Nexus letter or Nexus statement was insufficient, okay? And at that time, if you feel that it was sufficient, then the next option is you can go and do a high-level review and ask for an informal conference with the decision review officer, the DRO, and then you can discuss your case at that point. But if you go that route and get a Nexus statement or a Nexus letter, you want to have someone to review it to make sure that it's locked tight, okay? Back when I used to rate, I've seen a Nexus statement from a physician, and this physician wrote a strong rationale supporting the positive opinion that they provided for the veteran. For some reason, somebody requested the exam, and the CMP examiner gave a negative opinion. Now, what was interesting about this, the rationale that the CMP examiner gave at the VA, the rationale was like 1 or 2 sentences long, really vague. And the rating specialist actually used that negative opinion with that weak rationale to deny the veteran, okay? So it's nothing to say that anyone can guarantee that that person is going to use your doctor's Nexus letter or statement to provide you service connection. But if you know that it's airtight, locktight, and it's good to go and it meets all those elements that in the regulation that I'm providing in the description section, then you have grounds where you can fight that, okay? But again, if you go to that exam and that CMP examiner gives you a negative opinion and writes a weak rationale, a rating specialist can use that, okay? And then you have to, that's another piece of evidence that you may have to fight. So you do have options. But make sure that that Nexus statement that your private examiner is providing is correct and it has all that information. Like I said before, it doesn't have to be in the format like mine, but it needs to have that information in there. And again, some of the stronger points of that Nexus letter or statement needs to be what evidence did the examiner, what evidence did the private examiner review, and the rationale. If it's a positive opinion, how did he or she come to that conclusion? That's very important. But again, you have options if you're scheduled for a CMP exam. Like I say, you don't have to go, but if they deny you, they should let you know the reasons and basis of that in the rating decision, and then you can do a high-level review. So just keep that in mind. Nothing is guaranteed. I don't think anybody can guarantee you that, oh, you will get service connection based on this. Now, you may get it if they deny you. They may get it, or you may get it on a high-level review or something like that. But it's hard, almost impossible to guarantee anything because you don't know what level of training that rating specialist had or that VSR had that's reviewing your claim. You don't know what kind of mood that CMP examiner is in that particular day. They could be in a bad mood and come into work and say, I'm going to deny anybody. So that's one thing that I don't do is guarantee anything. Please excuse me, my phone is ringing in the office. I'm just going to let it ring, and we're going to continue to roll. So wrapping up again, make sure your Nexus statement or your Nexus letter is really airtight. Again, you have options if they denied based on you not going to that exam and not using the Nexus statement. Just make sure you've had somebody to review it to make sure that it's good to go. Okay, so that concludes the video today. But I want to bring to you some additional information. I've just completed my 9-module training that I'm going to be providing for people. It's a 4-hour training. I'm going to start doing some advertisement for it on Facebook. Might even do a video about it once I get it up and going and get the link and do a video so people can sign up. It's a 4-hour training. I'm going to be discussing everything from the importance of intent to files, 5 ways of service connection, eligibility for compensation, what is compensation, deep dive into Agent Orange exposure, Gulf War exposure, PTSD stressors, and also PTSD for military sexual trauma, and some examples of stressors, and also talking about markers. A lot of people don't know what markers are when it comes to PTSD on the military sexual trauma. We're going to be doing a deep dive into that. We're also going to be talking about individual unemployability, diagnostic codes, and I have some bonus material in there as it pertains to Nexus statements or Nexus letters, okay? So definitely be on the lookout for that. If you are part of an organization or a group of veterans that want me to provide this training for you, contact me through my website, which is kmd89.com, Kilo Mike Delta.com, or you can give me a call at 855-765-3137. That's 855-765-3137. And due to the current climate, I'm going to be offering all these this training through Zoom or another online avenue. And also, I give a free monthly webinar, and you can go and sign up. It's on my website. Click on the calendar link at the top, and you can see when that is. And it's through a local organization here in Tampa, and it's only about an hour and a half long, but you can sign up. It's free, and you can sign up. I believe the next one is May 26th. They may add another one because the one for April, it was full, had about 22 people that attended, and it was a lot of good information. But the 9-module training is 4 hours long, and I'm going to be explaining a lot of things as it pertains to the VA claims process. So again, go to my website, kmd89.com, or give me a call at 855-765-3137. And also make sure you like this video, you subscribe, hit the notification button, leave me a comment how you like the video, and if you want me to do a particular video on something. I did get a comment from someone that wanted me to talk about a higher level review process, so that will be the next video where I'm going to be talking about a higher level review. So with that being said, continue to be safe during this whole coronavirus 19 situation. And also, thank you for your service and continue to be safe. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.